Hey guys, it's Carrie with Carrie Carrico Real Estate, and I am so happy and lucky to be here with Rebecca Subbiah at Anchored Nutrition Therapy. And so she is spending a little bit of time today chatting all about nutrition and just a little bit all about what she believes and how she does nutrition therapy. It is so great that you're here with us, Rebecca. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good, thank you.
So for everyone out there, because maybe not everybody knows who you are. See, I do. I've heard you speak a few times, and what you do is so intriguing to me that I was like, oh, I definitely need to chat with her. My sister and I talk about you all the time. We're like, it's so, yeah, we follow you on Instagram. We find your post super interesting. So for everyone out there, if you could just tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and then we can kind of go into about what you do.
Yes, I'm Rebecca Subbiah. I'm British. I know I have a weird accent, and we were talking about that before live.
Hmm.
I'm married to an Indian. Um, lived in North Carolina over 20 years. Pretty much the whole time I've been in the States, I've been in the state.
Uh-huh.
I was in Cleveland, Ohio for just 1 year, and then the rest of the time has been North Carolina. Been a dietitian since 2001, very, very long time.
Yeah.
Haven't always worked as a dietitian. I stayed home for a number of years to raise kids
Hmm.
because in America you don't often get the option of part-time, and you don't get long
Yeah.
maternity leave like you do in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's definitely different over there, isn't it?
it's, yeah, it could be better for families.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
What else? We love travel. We're very passionate travelers. That's kind of like me and my husband share that passion. So we travel a lot internationally, and
Hmm.
I'm obsessed with like cooking food from different countries and the
Yeah.
food and cultural aspect. I love food and culture.
Yeah.
So I like my work in that way because, food is very personal and very deep and meaningful, and you can learn a lot about people from the way they eat.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now, your company or your business is called Anchored Nutrition Therapy. Kind of go into a little bit about what your business, what you actually do, and just a little bit like how did you get into that?
So I called it anchored because I like the idea of like an anchor holding a ship,
Uh-huh.
like stable,
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of times people just go on and off diets their entire adult life
Yep.
and just keep following outside rules from other people, and they don't have like this sense of stability of trusting themselves.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter, even if you have all this stuff around you, or this diet culture, or you should do this, or you should try this, or this
Yep.
worked for me, or whatever's the latest flashy headline is with health, because you kind of hold fast and knowing I've got this, I know what to do. That's not going to keep swaying me all the time.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I do is I often work with people with IBS,
Uh-huh.
irritable bowel syndrome, to help learn how to manage those symptoms and thrive. I also work with a lot of people on intuitive eating, mindful eating, as I said, getting away from dieting and trusting our bodies.
Hmm. Hmm.
And mostly women now. It's mostly, yeah,
Hmm.
different age groups of women.
Yeah. So can you explain a little bit more, like, because there's a lot of people that may not know what intuitive eating is.
So it was devised by a couple of dietitians, I guess, in the 90s. There's a book with the same title, and it's
Hmm.
like fifth edition,
Hmm.
and it has like 10 principles, and it's just a way of eating. But I think we all start off this way as kids, right? When you're a small kid, you are in tune with your body. You're not
Yeah.
worried about eating. You
Yeah.
move for fun. You go outside and play. You don't think about burning calories, or when you're hungry. You know when you've eaten enough, and you can just leave the food on your plate. You're just relaxed and at peace. And
Yeah.
a lot of times you'll know someone in your life who eats this way. Like it could be a spouse or a friend or another family member.
Yeah.
And sometimes you may watch them and go, wow, I wish I could just be more relaxed around food like they are.
Yeah.
So again, it's letting go of diets,
Yeah.
trusting
Yeah.
your body,
Yeah.
being more in tune with hunger and fullness cues
Yeah.
while making choices for health and well-being too.
Now, like with intuitive eating, I mean, you're right. When you're looking at it, you're looking at children and you're like, gosh, they do it so easily. What has happened? And then you've always got that friend, like you said, that's like a pole. They're thin and they just eat whatever they want, which I kind of go back to intuitive eating with that. Um,
I'm going to say,
uh,
it doesn't matter your body size. It's a weight neutral way of eating. So
yeah,
you could be an intuitive eater at any size, and it's
yeah,
still valid.
yeah.
Just
No, I get that completely. I get that completely. Do you think that society really pushes away people from like intuitive eating? I'm just curious. I just threw that off the cuff.
I think dieting has a lot to answer for.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it just screws us up and harms us.
yeah. Do you think that there's a way if you yo-yo, you know, you're always like yo-yo dieting and so on. Do you think you could get back to intuitive eating and do you think that would help your metabolism?
You can definitely become an intuitive eater again.
Hmm.
It's not an easy process because you have to kind of relearn how to trust yourself.
Yeah,
And as I said, it's a weight neutral approach. So we are not focusing on the number one scales.
yes,
And that's hard for people because that's the whole holy grail of diet, right? It's
yeah,
so shiny and this is going to be the one. And it's like this beautiful romance until it isn't. I mean, it's an awful X.
yeah,
And so and you have to learn to sit with your feelings and learn how to manage emotions in new ways and have coping skills. So sometimes people can benefit from having therapy too,
hmm,
to kind of heal their relationship with food and unlearn what
yeah,
diets have taught us, because many of those food rules we pick up over our lifetime, they're nonsensical and they don't serve us, but they fill our heads.
yeah. That definitely makes sense. Now, with intuitive eating, I'm just thinking because I have a lot of food allergies. How does that work with people with, I'm just trying to think. There's so many food allergies. I think it's everything they put in the food. Does the kind of food, do you have any rules with the intuitive eating? Like, do you, yeah, I mean, they can eat, somebody can just eat whatever they want, or how does that work?
All foods fit, so there's no good or bad foods. There's no morality with food. If you're a clean eater, it doesn't make you a better person than
Yeah.
someone who goes food right for every day.
Okay.
Now, if you have food allergies or you have diabetes or you have celiac condition and you need to be gluten-free or you have IBS, you need to eat in a way that's going to keep you healthy, right?
Yeah.
Because our health and feeling good is important. So if you have celiac disease, you wouldn't make the choice to eat regular bread every day, even
Yeah.
though you want to eat what you want, because it's also ultimately going to harm you. So
Yes.
you can still try to have regular nourishing meals, try and cook more from scratch, have lots of fruits and vegetables, but you have this, you're relaxed around having an occasional, a piece of cake because you're out with friends and the cake looks good, and you can go trick-or-treating with your friends and just eat a bunch of candy. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Now, you said you work with a lot of IBS clients. How does, how does that, how does that go? I mean, like um, what have you seen with IBS? Do you feel like it's increased in society over, you know, the years? And how does therapy
I don't know
actually
if it's
go?
increased. Maybe it's diagnosed more.
Yeah, that's what,
And we need to again remove the stigma from these conditions
yeah,
because there's probably a lot of people who have it, or they may have even had a diagnosis, but they just suffer in silence because it's embarrassing to talk about. And it can have really strong effects on people's daily lives. A
yeah,
lot of people, they won't eat breakfast or they'll skip meals before going to work or before going somewhere because they're worried that they're going to have an urgency to go to the bathroom. They'll always be worried about where the bathrooms are, how long journeys are going to be. The unpredictability of the symptoms is very stressful, but it
mhm,
is a real diagnosable condition. I think it's the most common thing people go and see gastroenterologists for.
yeah,
And we have really robust strategies to help manage it. So, and it's all about whole person health.
yeah,
So movement, sleep, good self-care, mental health, diet and nutrition, all of it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And definitely the therapy part. I mean, what you're doing, I think that's what I find the most interesting is that you're a dietitian. And so you're including nutrition, but it's heavy on therapy because, I mean, in my opinion, I do think there's such a strong connection between the two because of such a heavy diet society that that's the most intriguing thing. I think about what you do,
Well,
for
I'm not
sure.
a therapist,
No,
but
you're
I
not.
have had
So
training in different therapy like modalities,
yeah,
and I refer a lot to therapists.
yeah,
I'm happy to say a lot of people I work with already have them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes I'll say, "Oh, and you should talk about this with your therapist."
Yeah.
But definitely, anytime we want to work on behavior change, having tools to
Mm-hmm.
counsel in certain ways, like motivational interviewing or acceptance and commitment therapy, or ways of speaking or trying to figure out like what are your whys, what is important to you, what are your values in life, to
Yep.
try and nudge them to help promoting behaviors
Mm-hmm.
is really important. It really helps a lot.
Yeah, I can see how it definitely could definitely help because I think the root of it could, with a lot of the nutritional problems or, those issues could go back to definitely maybe something that just could be really helpful therapy wise instead of, people are like, it's just a diet, just go on it. But maybe it's not. Maybe you just need to work on your something else and then it'll help your
Oh yeah, I
nutrition.
mean, mental
Yeah.
health is really important, right?
Yeah.
Even with just IBS, like oftentimes I've found just reassuring people and validating their struggles
Yeah.
and helping to not over focused on food can help also improve symptoms, because particularly with that, it's a disorder of the gut brain interaction. So
Yeah.
if you're calmer and you have tools to handle stress, your gut symptoms also improve.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
definitely agree with that. 100% with my education and other activities I do. I agree that there's such a huge connection. Um, you know, for sure. So what are some like practical tips that you can give folks to eat healthier, either on the go or just maybe to start looking into intuitive eating or just better understand it, or just little, tricks and tips.
well, there's a lot of great resources out there. Obviously, the book, actually, I have it there, um, is great. Following weight inclusive dietitians online and therapists,
Hmm.
listening to podcasts, and just kind of just ruminating and sitting with these concepts and letting them sink in a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, Basic health tips like cooking, like try and cook at home more
Yeah. That's
and
the
enjoy
biggest.
cooking.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest struggle is that eating at home. I mean, like I know I am running continuously. And I try to eat at home more, but then I can't a lot of times. And so I'll try to bring protein bars, but those are not that great. And then you go to these food in these restaurants. So I'm kind of curious of what your thoughts are. They're great and they taste good, but how, they say they're better than like you're going to a fast food place, but are they better? Like a Chipotle. Um, what's your opinion about restaurants like that?
And that's not a bad option.
Not a
You
bad
know, with
option.
some
Okay.
beans and some meat and some salad.
Yeah.
Chipotle is a pretty rounded, balanced
Yeah.
meal.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of other restaurants, you could probably get salad or salmon or chicken, or you mean, I
Yeah.
think there's ways to eat out and choose healthfully. But then, like I said, sometimes it's fun just to eat whatever you feel like that day and
Yep.
just eat for pleasure too, because we eat for culture, pleasure, nourishment, all of the above, and all of them are valid.
Yeah.
Eating like leftovers is your best friend when you're really busy.
Yeah.
Try to look ahead if you can a little bit, just a few
Hmm.
days ahead. You don't have to do this meal prepping on Sunday. If it works for you, cool. If I feel like it looks like a big chore, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
think
agree.
eating, having leftovers can
Yeah.
really help. A well-stocked pantry. So you have like cans of beans or rice or pasta or some frozen vegetables, or so you can make a quick meal on the fly as well.
Mhm.
That can help as well.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely see how all those would help, and I feel the same way when I look at, like, heavy meal prepping, I'm like, "Oh gosh, that looks like a lot of work," but then it always tastes really bad on day 4 and 5, so you're not gonna wanna eat it. So, it's definitely something that I'm like, I would rather, if I have time to cook extra, and then have leftovers, and then I can do that for 2 or 3 days, and then I'm like, "Okay, I'm done." Now it's time to cook something else, for sure.
Yeah, and you don't get bored of it if it's just little. So micro prepping.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great term for it because that's kind of what it is, definitely. So one other question I have for you is what kind of myths or misconceptions do you feel like the most common nutrition myth and like what do you feel like people do not understand or it's the biggest myth in the nutrition world?
I think we just hmm, see ourselves as machines, like calories in, calories out.
Yeah,
It's just so easy. Just eat less and move more, and
yeah,
we'll have this perfect toned body shape for the whole entire life. I
yeah.
think that it's more complicated than that. And I
Mhm.
don't think we have as much control as we trick ourselves into thinking. And we follow these wellness influencers
Yeah.
and we think that if we just do what they're doing, we're going to look like them. But it's not going to be like that. We have the body diversity. We all come in different shapes and sizes, just like other species do, and we don't try and make them all look the same.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I think we just have to kind of be kind to ourselves, to trust our body is going to take care of size. When
Mhm.
we eat consistent, nourishing meals and we move for fun, and our
Mhm.
motivation is, you know, not always tied to the scale. So it could be about getting stronger or having more flexibility or improving our lab values or feeling more energized or
Yeah.
having better mental health. So I just feel like we need to zoom out and see more big picture with health and nutrition.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I have pretty bad thyroid issues and people always tell they're like, do this or do that. I'm like, yeah, I don't, it doesn't really work with me. I mean, I wish it did. But it's kind of, it's more of like, I really feel like it's exactly what you're talking about, the intuitive eating, figuring out what works for you and what you feel best with because definitely everybody has a suggestion for me and I'm like, I don't really think not everything works for everyone, for sure, especially when you have uh, thyroid issues like I do because I can eat whatever diet you want and it probably is not going to work the way that it works for some people. So
Yeah, we're
but
all unique beings, right? We have to figure out what works for us.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. What could you just explain a little bit more about how anchored nutrition, the therapy, how you what's the best word? How you make each session more unique for each client? I mean, how does that work? If somebody was to come and want and seek, help with you, what would it look like?
So normally we have like a free discovery call when you just chat and hear people's stories,
Yeah.
figure out, what are their symptoms, what are their struggles, how long is it going on for, how do they eat, their relationship with food, and
Hmm.
then the appointment can last. I mean, I give people a lot of time, like anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. I really don't rush people. I just give them that space to talk and
Hmm.
feel heard and
Hmm.
accepted.
Hmm.
Um, and really every kind of plan or tips that I give is unique to every person because every person's life is different. They have different symptoms or they have different goals or
Yeah.
they live with different people and they have different skill sets. And
Yeah.
so it's very unique. And sometimes if there's a family, you have to kind of take an account of all people's things going on in the family. And then I'll just listen and give some suggestions. I'll be writing a lot of notes as I go. And
Yeah.
then I'll say, okay, here are my observations, here are my suggestions. What
Mhm.
do you feel like you could take on? And I'll have them choose a few of them.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'll text. in between and see how things are going. And then they'll have a couple of follow-up sessions, or sometimes they'll feel good and maybe they'll just pop in with me 6 months, a year later, whatever. It's completely client driven.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense, because I was just curious, because it's such a unique, you're a dietitian, but it's just a unique approach to nutrition that you have. So I was kind of curious if I didn't think it was a one size fit all, but like, I was just kind of curious of how that actually worked, because every person is so different and their needs are so, so different. So I just thought maybe somebody would kind of be curious out there. So we could, kind of explain how it would roll if they reached out to you. What I think what do you see out, just because, gosh, we're just bombarded with food and ads and quick fixes and all the processed food. Do you feel like that is helping or hurting people in their nutrition? I mean, I would assume I think it's hurting them, but is it also making it really difficult for them to eat more in an intuitive manner, because the food is so full of junk?
Talking about ultra processed foods.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to eat, you don't want your whole diet to be ultra processed foods,
Yeah.
obviously. I don't think they're like the devil or like gonna just kill you. I'm not like, I think it's too alarmist or it's reductionistic in its approach. I
Yeah.
think an occasional fast food hamburger or a little Debbie cake or whatever it is, it's not going to do that much harm. One meal or snack doesn't do it with your health. Again, it's big picture.
Yeah.
So, and really, uh, like healthy eating is really, it's kind of instinctive, what we all know, right?
Yeah.
It's having lots of fresh fruits and vegetables,
Hmm.
having home cooked meals. We
Yep.
do better as humans, I feel, with regular meals. I think our blood sugars are more level, our
Yeah.
gut health is improved, our energy levels are better. We don't have these extreme swings between being super hungry and super full because we're just eating regularly.
Hmm.
And more plant forward meals, so more beans and lentils, more
Hmm.
nuts and seeds, lean sources of protein, and looking globally because
Yeah.
it's hundreds of countries around the world, and each one of them has great healthy recipes they can share with us, and
Hmm.
that just makes it more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I could definitely see that. I'm so interested in like the blue zones. Do you look into the blue zones a lot? And what's your thoughts about
Yeah,
blue
that's
zones?
really great, fascinating research. I think he has done a good job. I don't love all of his messaging, I'll be honest, but his heart's in the right place, I think. Uh,
Yeah.
but again, well, they have got Okinawa,
Yeah.
so they do have Japan featured. But
Yeah.
again, it's very heavy on the Mediterranean. Like it's got like what is it, Sicily or Sardinia? There's a
Yeah.
place in Greece. There's the Loma Linda, California, who are
Yeah.
vegetarian. Remind me of the other ones. Or maybe Okinawa.
There's Okinawa. You got California, yeah, and then there's gosh, Italy. There's a couple, and then isn't there one or two places in Greece? Or am I
There's
wrong?
the Everest Greece. But
Yeah.
again, they have all these beautiful things in common, more fruits and vegetables,
Yeah.
more home cooked meals. There's a sense of community,
Yes.
which is really important. And interestingly, I just read a couple of weeks ago, last week, Singapore has been added as a blue zone.
Oh, that's
The
cool.
reason I want to highlight that is the
Yeah.
government's done great initiatives, adding more parks and green zones and places to move and exercise,
Mm.
and having access to great, nourishing,
Mm.
tasty foods. So we don't want to just think the Mediterranean countries are the only way to eat.
Yeah.
My husband's from India, like vegetarian, vegan, or even you can have meat. I'm not vegetarian. There's
Yeah.
wonderful, healthy ways to eat in India. There's a resurgence of interest in India of eating more ancient grains like millet again.
Yeah.
So globally and valuing everybody's culture.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I mean, I think that's the key. And also trying to figure out what you like and learning how to cook just a little bit. You could hate cooking, but find something that I think is fun. Is that one of your biggest takeaways to like your clients?
Yeah, I always try and get people to cook.
Yeah.
or send them recipes.
Yeah.
Or ask them what, even like going back, what is your things you like? What did your
Yeah.
mom used to make?
Yeah.
What's your favorite foods from childhood?
Yeah.
And cooking, like anything, is a skill.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to be awful,
Yeah.
but all the best chefs learn by failing and not giving up.
Hmm.
But you all have like a repertoire of recipes that we cook on
Yeah.
rotation. I feel the goal is to occasionally try, fail, but add in. So over time, this list grows.
Yeah.
And, anytime you cook something and it turns out great, it gives you a sense of, it's like a little bit of an achievement.
Yeah.
It keeps you going.
Yeah.
Like with all health promoting behaviors, right?
Yeah.
If we start doing a workout class or we start lifting weights and we increase on the weight we can lift, I've got stronger. Or
Yeah.
we start finding recipes to have more tofu or more cool ways of cooking fish or like more cool ways to cook vegetables, we get confident and we feel better because we're nourishing our bodies.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree with you totally. And I love the fact that you love to travel because I think travel, it helps. I think it would really help with this style of y- nutrition therapy that you, I mean, to me, that makes the most sense because I mean, you can make a goal of like everywhere you go, try something new that you like that you can bring back with you. So I can see that. So it's very cool. I love the way
Even
that
if you
you're,
can't go internationally, travel in your hometown.
yeah,
Visit like an Indian grocery store and an Asian grocery store. There's that big Super G in Greensboro. I think there's another really big one there. Just go and have fun and explore and ask the staff, like, oh,
yeah,
what do you do with this? Or
yeah,
you could even just get something randomly. Sometimes my husband will pick up random things in a Middle Eastern store. Like he picked up this one called Mandi spice.
uh-huh.
And I was, oh, never heard of that before. So I Googled and it's a Yemeni spice blend and there's a whole bunch of recipes for it.
Hmm. That's
So
interesting.
just see it as an adventure.
Yeah, no, I think that if we did see food as an adventure and did take away so many rules that we have that we don't even realize we have, I think that we all would probably be healthier. That's, I mean, just especially uh, following you and really listening to what you talk about and your style of therapy over nutrition and just understanding it. I definitely agree with you. So I guess what I want you to do is just like what is for like any kind of closing, I can't talk today, thoughts. What do you want to leave everybody with? We will definitely put all your information below the live so that they can contact you and they can always contact me and I'll get them all of your information. But for like any kind of closing thoughts, what do you want to share with us?
Yeah, just listen to your body and
Okay.
trust it. I think often it will nudge us to make great choices.
Uh-huh.
If you've been on a trip and you've eaten out for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
when you come back, you want a home cooked meal with vegetables.
Yeah.
If we just listen, sometimes if you eat like a lot of heavy food over a few days, you're just, oh, I feel, I don't quite feel. And sometimes when we listen to our body, it's sometimes a whisper, but try to
Yeah.
listen to those little nudges
Yeah.
and don't enjoy food. Like really, if you can enjoy eating in a healthy, health promoting way, that's sustainable. It's not a chore.
Yeah.
It's just fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. And you don't even think about your weight and everything else that goes with it if you just eat healthy and I feel like foods that you like. So I definitely agree with you. But we wanted to thank you so much for coming on here. And I want to thank Rebecca from Anchored Nutrition Therapy for coming on and chatting with us. And like I said, I will have all her information below in the comments. And then you can always reach out to me at any time, DM me or call me. Everybody has my number and I will get you hooked up with Rebecca right away. But thank you again, Rebecca, for coming on. We appreciate it so much. I'm so excited to have been able to chat with you.
Thank you.
Thanks.